We fought as hard as we could for about a year. He left on the 15th of June of 2012. What my son has taught me, before the soul comes here onto this planet, he says, Mom, imagine that we're sitting at a big, huge conference table. And as a soul, I'm sitting right here, and as a soul, you're right on the other side. Your soul will say, okay, I want to learn unconditional forgiveness, or I want to learn humility, or I need to learn this. So we're writing it on our little soul contract. We also give ourselves exit points. As far as a true healing, it wasn't supposed to happen. That was his exit point.
Still have questions? Well, join me live for Wake Up Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll answer your questions, and you might see a familiar face. Together, we're waking up the collective. Thank you for watching. My guest today is Hannah Hansen, who experienced the tremendous loss of her son in 2012 due to cancer. Can you imagine if you could ever get to the point where your loss was not only the worst thing that happened to you, but that you could see the tremendous blessing in that same loss happening to you? Well, that is what Hannah is going to share with us today. So, Hannah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
This is going to be a really unusual conversation. I haven't had a lot of these recently. But when I did start my YouTube channel, one of the most popular videos was around signs and synchronicities from our loved ones. And I always imagine that because we talk about near death experiences, that there are so many people who have experienced losses and they're trying to figure out how to connect to their loved ones on the other side. They want to know, did they really disappear forever? Are they still there? So I would love for you to start with just kind of the high level of where you are now and how you connect with Mika.
Where I am now is I'm in a very, very strong place right now. I am part of helping parents heal.
Oh, I
They,
didn't know that. Another synchronicity.
oh, so helping parents heal. I am during the conferences that we have, which is every other year. I work with with all the volunteers. I'm in charge of all the volunteers that come to the conference. So part of the planning stages of it. And through helping parents heal, I have met some wonderful mediums. I have met some amazing people that had beautiful stories all the way along. And listening to all those stories helps me to grow. But what also has happened is that when I go see my clients during the day, I take my knowledge and what I have learned and I can share it with everybody. So part of the gift that my son gave to me is that I'm turning around and helping more people with the possibility that there is something more. I'm helping people now with the fact that your loved ones are not gone, that they are giving you signs every day. I help with letting them know that it's okay. It's okay to sit and be sad. It's okay to have those feelings, but we don't want to stay there too long because we what my son has told me when he has come to me in some of my meditations, he says that if we hold on too tightly to the fact that he's here, they're not going to be able to grow on the other side as quickly because they're still going through a spiritual growth as well on the other side. So it's just a matter of knowing that they're still here, they're still sitting right next to you, they're still talking to you, holding your hands, all that fun stuff, um, and having faith. You listen differently.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, why don't we start then with your experience in your losing him in any way that you would like to share that, and then we'll talk about how the signs and synchronicities grew from that loss.
Oh, my son had a very rare adolescent cancer called alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma. He was just about 14, a little bit over 14 when he was diagnosed. We went into the hospital. He had a what they call a whiteout, so his both his lungs were completely white when it came up on the x-rays. So in a nutshell, what ended up happening was we went into the hospital on, it was like we went in on a Wednesday. They went in and did a biopsy on Thursday. Friday, the doctor comes and tells me he has cancer. We're starting chemo on Monday. Absolutely no time to process. Absolutely, you go into a shock mode. Um, so I am more of a natural person. I do natural remedies. I do as much as I can naturally first. So not only were you kind of in a fight and flight mode because you just found out something very traumatic. So now I'm fighting with the doctor. So and I told the doctor, I said, I'm not saying no to starting the chemotherapy. I need to find out what else I can do in addition. So it was a long, long ordeal. And what kind of ended up happening was my family kind of stepped in, and they were kind of fear based. And they went to the doctor and they told him, do whatever you need to do to get her to start the chemo. So the very next day after that, the doctor ended up calling Child Protective Services on me, took temporary custody of my son. Um, and at that point, I had met another doctor at the hospital, and he was much more considerate. He told me the whole protocol. He told me it's called a roadmap that you go on. Um, just a lot more people friendly, bedside manners. So I signed the consent form with that doctor. And then the next day, Child Protective Services come. They take temporary custody of him. Now we're still in the hospital doing what we need to do, but I no longer have custody. So they gave custody to my mom. And then once he was released from the hospital, he had to go to my mom's house. I was not allowed to spend the night. I was not allowed to be there unsupervised. So now we had 5 weeks of a court battle also to get custody back. And he's still going through treatment, still going through all of this. So what ended up happening during this whole ordeal was what the doctors tend to do is if you don't go and um, oh, lack of better words is bow down to what they want you to do, they will make your they come up to you, they take your energy from you. So every time I turn around, every time I found something and I'm looking something up, the doctor will come up to me and says, well, okay, what did you find? Is it, and then he'll downplay it. He'll say, well, that's not good. And that doesn't have good proof and that doesn't. So what happened was it zapped my energy. Every time I thought I had something, somebody came up and deflated me. So it was energetically very hard for me, where you don't have a moment to catch your breath. You don't have enough time to rebuild your energy. So when we had the court battle, you go into the court and I'm by myself. I had none of my family was supporting me. So I'd go into this court with all these strange people and they were all saying how terrible I am. And even though I signed the consent form and we're doing the chemo, they were afraid I was going to take them off. So there was one day where I actually had about 2 minutes to catch my breath. And I heard, you know what to do. I'm thinking, no, not really. So I remember in my teachings when I did the pranic energy healings, I remember working with colors and I remembered all of a sudden how to work with the vibration of color. So the next day I go into the courtroom But before I go, I surrounded everybody in that courtroom in a pink energy because pink is unconditional love. So they were all enveloped in this pink bow. And by the time we were done in that courtroom, the judge dismissed the case. He said this should have never, ever come here. And he wished us luck. So as soon as that was done, I took my son out of the care of that hospital. We went to another hospital here in Arizona. Much better care, much better doctors. Everything was more amazing. Um, and we fought. We fought as hard as we could for about a year. And then he left on the 15th of June of 2012.
Wow. I'm just I'm just floored that a loving parent could be overridden by a system that doesn't even know your child, know the situation, just for whatever reason that they want to do. I can't even imagine a battle like that. I'm sure everybody watching is dumbfounded by this. So he passes away. And what was the, I guess before we go to into that part of it, when you heard that voice that says, you know what to do, how did you discern and know that that was not your own voice saying that? How was it different?
It was a guy's voice. It was
Well,
very
that's one thing, I guess.
it was it was a male voice, and it was very reassuring, and it was very loving. It wasn't didn't tell me what to do. It didn't tell me I was doing anything wrong. It I just heard, you know what to do. And it took
And
me a second, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden, poof, and there it was. And everything shifted at that moment. It was,
Who do you think it was?
oh, I do think it was my guides. I think it was my spirit guides. I really do. Either that or it was my son's guides, but they weren't talking to me so much then. Um, I learned a lot during that whole ordeal. One of the things that I did learn, and I don't know if it's true right now, but one of my big takeaways from that whole thing is that if you have a child that is under the age of 18 and you come up with something, a serious diagnosis like that, you really don't have too many rights if you want to go and do something alternatively. So, what I have learned since is that if I had to do it over again, if once I found out, I would probably not stay in a US hospital. And they look frown upon that, but it cancer is, there's a lot of controversy over it. I did have him on turmeric. I started him on that. I had him on almost 20,000 milligrams a day, and I did some other stuff. The cancer was shrinking. The doctor even couldn't feel it anymore. So it was working. But because he's under 18, there was that protocol, and I really did not have that alternative choice. And what I did find out, they had like the Cancer Center of America and all these alternative places. Now they wouldn't take my son because he was under 18. Never knew
I
that. So it was an eye opener for me.
bet it was. Well, so tell me, you mentioned something I've never heard of before called chronic energy healing. And I think the part that really caught my attention was that you said that there's a vibration of color. And I'd love to understand a little bit more about this.
Oh, pranic energy. So
Oh, it's not chronic,
no,
pranic.
pranic.
Pranic. Okay. I have
Yeah.
not heard of either one of those.
So pranic energy, it deals with the ethereal. It deals with colors. So if if you think that everything is vibration, everything has a vibration to it, you can infuse different colors to work with the different energies of a person, of a animal, of a thing, because it's all vibration. It is all a frequency. So, like, the easiest would be the color green. So if I have somebody that comes to me that says they're not feeling good and I just want to do like a clean sweep, what I will infuse them in like a green because it is healing, Archangel Raphael. So we go and we send a green ribbon, or we imagine like you have green gloves on you and that you're just kind of going through their system and just kind of infusing it with the clean energy, the vibration of healing. And every color that there's an archangel that's usually associated with the colors, and there are different healing rays. There's different dimensions associated with all of it as well. It's
Wow.
so wonderful.
It does sound wonderful. Okay, so let's go back to the green. And you said that you would, if somebody came to you and they needed a certain healing, you would infuse them with the green. What does that mean? You would infuse them. Like, what's this process?
Well, there's many different techniques that you can use. But so what I would do if you were to come to me and let's say that you're having like little heart palpitations or something like that. So I would with my hand, so with my right hand is sending, left hand is receiving. So with my hand, I would kind of go over your heart area and I would imagine, because it's all intention. So I'm imagining green coming from up in the ethers, coming up from the universe, coming through my hands to you. And it's not something you don't have to be in front of me. I can do this all from my house. I don't have to have you because it's an intention and the vibration just comes and does what it needs to do. It
So
it
we, oh, sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
no, it's just fun. It's fun. For me, it's fun to see the difference in the people. It's fun to see how they feel afterwards. And sometimes when I'm working on somebody as a massage therapist, when I'm working on somebody, I will come to an area and I will feel a blockage. I don't even have to tell them what I'm doing. Many times I'll just kind of put some good juju inside into them. And one of the things that I have learned many years ago is that sometimes the body and the person's not ready to receive it. Sometimes there's a karmic reason why they're going through some stuff. So if I'm sending somebody a healing energy and they're going through a karmic lesson, they're going through something that their soul plan has asked to go through to learn a lesson, I can still send that good juju. I can still send the healing energy to them. If they are not ready to receive it, it's kind of like it goes up into like a bank, like a karmic bank, like up in the ether. So as soon as they're ready, it will come down from the ethers and work through them at that moment, but not before. The soul has to be willing to accept the energy. So you can do energy healing on anybody, but if they're not ready, or if there is a karmic reason why they have to go through it, you're not interrupting that because then it kind of goes into a like a savings account, ready to be withdrawn when they're ready.
I think this is a great point because people will often say somebody's a healer, somebody will go to them and it won't work. And I like to give the lottery example because I think it's super relevant for people. When we start talking about manifestation or things that we want to have happen, the whole idea about the premise is that you concentrate on that, you put your energy and intention there, you take high vibration emotions, and then you see it as if it's already happened. But if
Yes.
somebody really and truly believed in their heart that they could win the lottery, they didn't have that lingering doubt, that little voice that's like, yeah, that's not real. They really, really believed it. They could sit there and they could meditate on it, think about it, will it in, see it, see their lives, how their lives would be different. Then the lottery comes, they get their ticket out, it's drawn, and they don't even have a single number. And the reason I would say that that happened is because if that lottery were to have manifested, it would change a lot of things in that person's life. And if you have a soul contract that says, I want to come in and have all of these experiences, there's a very good chance that winning the lottery would change the life to such a degree that it would cross off a lot of the things that the person came into experience. You're talking
Yes.
about karma, which is similar to what I'm talking about with experience, because I think karma is more of cause and effect. I understand a lot of people think that karma is something to clear or something that's happening, but either way, they're all nuances of the same idea. And so, is that
Absolutely.
really what you're talking about this banking, and why sometimes these healings don't work? Is not only is the person not ready to receive it, but there's something behind the scenes that would change that person's experience, game, whatever you want to call it. And I'd love for you to speak to that as well.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. It with my son, my heart believed he was going to get better. I knew it. I had no question about it. What my son came to me afterwards, after he crossed over, he said that he wasn't supposed to. That was not part of his journey. That was his exit point, which he kind of he shared why we have exit points, and ugh. But what he said was that all that healing that was done for him, it helped to take that some of that pain away that was allowed. But as far as a true healing, it wasn't supposed to happen, because if he would have been healed, it wouldn't have shot me forward in what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have become as strong as I am. I wouldn't have been able to help as many people as I have. It was part of the soul plan that we agreed to.
And this is why these contracts that we have with others are so important, because a lot of times we'll come in and we'll be aiding and helping each other because we have a bigger picture. And like you, I believe that that was the purpose of my significant love who died in 2012, because he had the ability to help me so much more with what we were trying to create in the world with waking people up than he ever would have been able to do if he had still just been here and we had been in some kind of a partnership in the living world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's absolutely amazing what they do on the other side. My
Mm.
son, he the stuff that I know that he is doing and has done from the other side, he would have never been able to do that here. And so a lot of times I think that they choose to leave sometimes via the contract, because you get to the point where you've learned everything that you needed to learn here, and you can do bet more on the other side, help more people from the other side. Yeah, he had an infinity for animals. So one of his jobs when he first got over was to help the animals cross over the bridge. He met all the animals
Wow.
and connected everybody. So it's amazing to me how wonderful it is on the other side, and how it continues, and they keep getting new jobs and they're learning new things with us. As I learn and get stronger, he's learning and getting stronger. When I have a hiccup, he comes in and he says, "Okay, it will work better this way." So they grow with us, and we grow through them.
So beautiful. I have so many questions I want to ask about this because I think that this will help the audience so much. So, one of the things that I've learned from all of these near death experience interviews is that nobody dies before their time, because if it's not your time, you'll have a near death experience, whether you remember it or not, and you come back. So, I would love to hear your perspective from what you've learned about your son in that particular scenario of nobody dying before their time.
You know, what my son has taught me, what he shared with me. He's said that before the soul comes here onto this planet, what happens, that he says, Mom, imagine that we're sitting at a big, huge conference table. And as a soul, I'm sitting right here. And as a soul, you're right on the other side. And then we have your spirit guides and my spirit guides. And we have a couple of other souls. So there's could be 25, 30 people sitting at this conference table. And he says, so your soul will say, okay, well, I want to learn unconditional forgiveness, or I want to learn humility, or I need to learn this. So this person over here is going to say, well, I need to learn that too. So how about if I pop in your life around this time frame and I can help you with this? And then at that point, you can also help me with this. So we're writing it on our little soul contract. And he said, what he told me is that if we don't learn that lesson at that time, then somebody else will say, okay, I'll come in your mid 30s and we'll try it again. And this is how we're going to do it. So when we come here, if we have this contract and we can change it at any time, it's not set in stone. It's more like a little guideline, he said. But he said that, so we also give ourselves exit points. So we've learned everything. My son learned everything. He told me that he came here to learn unconditional love and he got it. He doesn't need to be here anymore. So he can do more now from the other side. And I had to learn forgiveness. Sometimes that's still a little challenging, but so I have forgiven the doctors. I have forgiven my family. Doesn't mean you have to love them, but I forgive them. It's all a growth process, I think, when they come here. I think that if when you leave, what my son said is that if it's not your time, if you still have more to learn, that your soul contract basically is not complete and there's still way too much to do, you will be given a choice. I mean, they would like you to come back, but sometimes you can have the choice and you can stay there on the other side. My son also, he shared with me, I had a brain tumor when uh, I was 7, 8 years old. It was benign, but he said I had a near death experience. He says, Mom, that's shifted everything for you. I don't remember it. I remember it being not happy. He says, but everything from that moment forward, you question everything. So I think that sometimes when you have a near death experience, you don't always remember it. You don't always come back, but you start to question things differently. You start to um, be interested in something different. You might find that art fascinates you where it never did, or so different things. There's people that come back and all of a sudden want to draw angels and have these profound gifts. But I think everybody's different. But I do believe that if something were to happen and it is not your time, you will be coming back here. Kind of in a nutshell, in a long way around.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. You mentioned the conference table. And Hannah, as soon as you said it, I got goosebumps. And I think goosebumps are the body's recognition of something that you're either supposed to pay attention to or a truth. And I do really believe, and I've talked about that we plan these lives, we plan everything about them. But again, we need help and guidance from others who have a different viewpoint, maybe a more ascended viewpoint as we're planning it. So, can you share what he has shared with you about how that planning process works and who is part of that conference table group?
Oh, that conference table group, everybody, all the souls that, your parents are going to be in there, your siblings are going to be in there. So we choose our parents, our siblings, because of the lessons that we're going to learn. It could be the teachers. What grades are they going to teach? What grade are you going to be most like a sponge where you're going to hear the message? Where can they make most profound difference to you at what point? But what my son has shared with me is that when we're sitting at this table, there could be anywhere from 20 to 120 people at the table because there's different lessons and it's not just lessons that we are learning for us coming down here, but there are other people's whose lives we're going to touch and we're going to affect along the way. So they'll be in the conference table. And so we have all these like rough drafts on this little contract, and then we can say, okay, well, if I don't learn here at this age, let's do it again up here. Okay, well, no, still didn't get it. Okay, so and so is going to come over here, and we're so there's like little edits on the contract along the way. But he says for most part, everybody's here for a purpose. And he says, and sometimes we don't understand the purpose, and he says, Mom, there's no good and there's no bad. It is all a matter of perspective. And he says, sometimes it's a polarity. And sometimes he says, what we perceive as not good or a bad, it's to bring out something in you. It's to get that, um, get the, what the energy up to get you not fighting, but to shift your thoughts. So if something triggers you, it's a mirror and it's going to try to help you to overcome it or to get stronger or to get better. And he says sometimes, there's people that just we think that they're absolutely horrible and what have you, but they're also spiritual beings here having a human experience. And even if we don't understand why that has happened, sometimes it will has a profound effect years from now. Maybe it's something that happened in history, and then 100 years from now, it touches somebody. So it sometimes it the things that we're learning, the things that we sign up for, we don't understand it, but it could have an effect way in the future as well. That's kind of what he has tried to share with me.
Beautiful. So, can you share with us the very first time that you received a sign from him that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was communicating with you from the other side?
Okay, so when my son first crossed over, I was in deep, deep grief, um, a little over a year. And all of a sudden, I would sit outside in my backyard and I would see this butterfly, a yellow butterfly, a big, huge monarch butterfly with a little black trim. And I would sit outside and I would just admire it, just looking at it. And then I would go inside. And then from my window, I could still see the butterfly hanging out. Next day, here comes the butterfly, and still not acknowledging it, but I'm still amazed at this big, huge butterfly because I've never seen it. And then one day, the butterfly comes and it spins and swirls around me and and then he goes away and then it comes back, and I'm still not getting it. And then a couple days later, here comes the butterfly again. And then all of a sudden it clicked. Oh my gosh, Mikael, is that you? And then the butterfly just kind of swirled here and then it took off. And didn't see the butterfly again until so anytime that I'm having questions or I'm not getting messages from him, here comes the butterfly again. And then I would go from there. I went up to Tucson to go to the gem show, and butterfly season was gone. Driving up, and then all of a sudden, there's like a million yellow butterflies, not monarch, but the small little ones, just everywhere. So I knew he was going with me. And then all of a sudden, I'd be thinking of him, or I was at that time, I was with the Melonhead Foundation, and we were coming up with I did a fundraiser in my son's honor, and I was working on something, and I was questioning something, and then all of a sudden, here's a big bird sitting in front with a big yellow belly. Never seen a bird like that before, but bright yellow. So now that's his sign for me. Any animal, usually an animal, yellow. Yellow is his, that's how I know it's him. When I have hummingbirds, they have a yellow front or kind of looks gold. I see the yellow. And that's how I know. And now he's more creative. I have pictures all around my house of him. And like here in my office, I have one picture of him when he was little. I'll come into here and all of a sudden I hear look up. I look up. The picture's halfway down in the frame. It dropped. Only one picture. So I'll put it back up. A couple days later, another picture drops down on the frame. So he comes in, he gives me signs all the time. I can be walking outside and I hear look up. I look up and there's a double rainbow. It's just the signs are just absolutely beautiful. He'll come and he'll move stuff now in my house. He'll move a vase. And the only reason I know the vase is moved because I see all the dust and I haven't dusted it. There's a reason why we don't move stuff. And now I have that dust spot because he moved it, and it's a vase that he gave me when he was younger. So he's always showing me that he's here. Many times I can feel him. Energetically I can feel him holding my hands. Sometime we went to I went to a movie. At that time we were watching Transformers, or the Marvel movies, and I would still go and I could feel his bony butt sitting on my lap. I just could feel, and I knew without a doubt. So different ways, very different ways they show up. I don't think you always have to hear them. I very rarely actually hear him, but he shows up and gives me signs all the time. And usually I hear real quickly, look up, or um, I get guided towards a picture that he drew, or um, a license plate. But I'll be driving, and then all of a sudden I'll feel like I need to go look over here, and poof, there's something that confirms that he's right there with me. It's all the time, all the time, and it's wonderful and beautiful.
I love that. I also get a lot of license plates, and I'm glad that you shared all of those different types of signs and synchronicities for the people who are watching so that they understand how it works. I think that's beautiful. Can we go back to the healing a little bit? Because you mentioned something that I would love for you to elaborate on, and that was that in an energy, every color not only has a vibration, but it's associated with an archangel. So, can you share with us the rundown of how that works with the different colors?
Oh, um, I can, but I can't tell you all of them right now. Um,
That's
because my
okay. I can edit this part out. We'll just skip that. It's fine. I don't want to put you on the spot with it. I just wondered if you knew it. So I'll edit that part out. That's totally fine. Um,
yeah, because yeah, if I had my cheat sheet here, I could tell you in a
Don't
few
even worry
seconds.
about it. It's totally good. I'll edit that part out. Let's see. Look at this. I actually really like to talk a little bit more about your helping parents heal, because when we first met, my sister booked you because she said that we had so many connections and she thought that this was going to be a very synchronistic interview. And what you don't know is that I personally know Elizabeth Boyson.
Oh, I just love that lady. I just
She
love her
lives
to
in my
death.
town, and I interviewed her as well very early on, like a couple of years ago. So I'll share with everybody, and then you can tell everybody what the Helping Parents Heal is. And I can link this video about Elizabeth's story. Elizabeth had a son who had traveled with a group of people to take a trip to Everest Base Camp. And as you get into the mountain range, it starts to ascend very quickly, well above what most people are used to in elevation. And people can get altitude sickness, which can be deadly because of the way that your lungs can't function and the way that the lack of oxygen actually poisons your body. And he fell ill to altitude poisoning, had all of these different signs. And they were able to make an emergency call, and she was able to talk to him right before he passed away. And I got connected to her, and we did an interview. But right before I was going to talk to her, I was driving in my town that I live in. Now, I had a boyfriend who was a mountain guide who was trending to go climb Mount Everest. So I'm
Oh,
very
wow.
aware of Mount Everest. And I will tell you with certainty, I had never seen a sticker like this before. But I think it was like a day or two before I was supposed to interview Elizabeth. I was pulling out of Walmart, sitting at the light, and the car in front of me had an Everest Base Camp sticker on the windshield. And I am positive I had never seen one before. And so I shared that with Elizabeth during our interview because I just couldn't believe it. But my life too is so filled with signs and synchronicities. Now, this is a really wonderful organization. People have heard the interviews that I did with Jeff Olson. I'm personal friends with him. He's part of that organization. There are
Hmm.
so many people who I know who are all part of that organization, so much crossover. So, talk a little bit about what it is and what the mission of it is.
Oh, helping parents heal. It's a support group for the parents that have lost children to all different reasons. Helping Parents Heal has a wonderful website. H is helpingparentsheal.org. You sign up for their newsletter, and on their newsletter, there's some tabs up there. So they have different interviews with parents that have had signs from their children. But on the website also, they have information as well. Um, Different videos, suggestions, that videos that you can watch about the afterlife. They have different interviews on YouTube. They also have a link on YouTube as well where you can hear some of the mediums come on, and you can hear um, our psychologists and a bunch of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that they interviewed. And it is not a religious based thing, so it doesn't matter what religion you come from. It is a support group, it's a support family, and they have many different affiliates, so different cities where different reasons. So we have a group for parents that have lost children due to suicide, single parents. They just many different wonderful, wonderful support. They have caring listeners there. So if you're struggling, you can call one of the listeners and you can just talk to them just to get the emotional support from somebody that knows. It's a beautiful organization. Elizabeth did really, really good, and it has grown tremendously. It's
Yes,
Yes, and it's helped so many people.
I agree. So, what advice can you give to people who are watching who have experienced the loss of a loved one to help them to see their signs more clearly? I know sometimes I'll see in the comments that people are struggling because they want to see signs, they're just not seeing them. So, what advice would you give to people?
One of the things that I learned early on, when when you're deep in the grief, it's hard to see the signs. It can be right there in front of you and you're still not going to see it because your vibration is it's a little bit on the lower side. Um, it is I think that if you start to talk to your person, your loved one on the other side, just start talking to them like they're standing right there in front of you. Show me a sign. I love you. I'm still missing you. Show me a sign. Let me know you're okay. Sometimes right before you go to bed, if you can, if you talk to your loved one and say, you know what, I need to know you're okay. Show me a pink rose. And then just be aware pink roses can come either an actual pink rose or you can open up a book and there's a pink rose in that picture in the book. So it comes in many different forms. You have faith, but have patience too. Have patience with yourself because we want immediate confirmation. Sometimes it's not immediate. Sometimes they're going through their transition also, getting used to the vibration on the other side. So they're learning how to communicate with us as well. But talk to somebody, because as soon as the grief isn't so heavy, the signs will start to come in. But if you start to talk to your person on the other side, let me see, I'm open to anything, or you to be very specific of something that was meaningful, and just watch and wait. It's probably not going to happen the next day, but it will happen. Just be open to all the possibilities.
Yeah, that's great advice. You mentioned in the very beginning of the interview that sometimes the souls on the other side are busy, and I'm using air quotes when I'm saying that, busy, and they can't connect because they have other jobs and things that they're doing. So, what other jobs have you uncovered that the souls are doing besides what you already shared with us about how your son was helping the pets to cross over into the other side from this realm?
So my understanding, and it's not just from my understanding from my son, but through all the years of being in the metaphysical spiritual thing, every soul, once we leave here, there's different dimensions, there's different doorways, gateways that we can go into, and our soul is continuing to grow. So we go from the third dimension to the fourth to the fifth and on up. So different energies are at different levels. So on the next dimension, it will probably kind of look like what's here, but it's like instantaneous. So if you're love to ski, you can create a mountain and you can go skiing on the other side. You can, what you think, it will just kind of manifest right there. My son, my understanding, and I didn't hear it from him. A medium told me this, and she said that what he was doing is that he was working in a college helping kids as they kind of grow and evolve. So he was in charge of the dorm room and the kids coming in. Um, my dad is on the other side as well. And my dad did come through, and he said that he is actually kind of enjoying right now. He created a farm for himself, and he's enjoying being out in nature with all the animals. So it is something I think that you instantly just kind of manifest what it is you want to learn, kind of have fun. And so, then you go to a different level, and maybe the next level is you're learning different forms of love, or how to share different love themes with people here on the planet or people on the other side. It's a continuing process of learning for the soul to grow and to evolve. It's just like when you talk about the archangels that are in charge, like Saint Germain was always with the purple violet flame. Well, Saint Germain is also learning and growing. So then Lady Portia comes in, and she is now in charge of the purple flame. But you can still call on Saint Germain, but he's just growing too. He is evolving. Everything's always moving, always growing, always evolving. And they still do evolve on the other side. It's not just stagnant. You're still evolving, but it's just different because you don't have to have that 9 to 5 job. You don't have to earn the money to do it. Now you're doing because your soul wants to. It's doing it for pure joy, pure love.
Can you explain a little bit more about what you understand the dimensions to be and how they work on the other side?
The different dimensions. There's when people talk about the dimensions, we only hear really about the 12 dimensions, but my understanding is that I know of up to 52 different dimensions. And the different dimensions are different vibrations, different frequencies that you can go into, um, different levels of denseness. So it's all ethereal, it's all light bodies. It is, I don't know if I can explain it very well to you though. Um, my understanding is that the different dimensions are also different constellations, different galaxies as well. So it goes more interstellar, it goes more all-encompassing with different entities, maybe we can say, different growth. So now you're going to start incorporating different lessons, different observations from different people, different perspectives. And what my some of the things that my son have told me, it's kind of really hard to understand because he said that the wording's very different. There's some of the stuff that they do on the other side, there's no words to it. It's like some of the colors on the other side. We can't explain it because we don't have it. So it's awe-inspiring. It is something that we strive to get to raise your vibration enough to where you can possibly get little glimpses of more,
Yeah. Oh,
more
I think that was
happiness, more
super
joy.
helpful. That was great. Thank you. So I would imagine there are people who are watching right now who would love to know how they connect to you and what you do for energy work with people.
Ooh, connect with me. You could probably reach me. I can give you my phone number. I don't have a website. You can email
Do
me.
you do energy healings with people still?
I do. I
You
do.
do. And so if somebody wants to do an energy healing with you, I mean, you gotta be careful with what you want to do here because the audience is pretty big. I like giving your phone number out. That's a little brave, but if you
That's
want to do it, I
extremely
will
brave.
let you. I'm not going to stop you.
They can email me. That would be the
Okay.
best way.
I think that's a
Yes.
great idea.
Yes, email me. You can probably get a hold of me through Helping Parents Heal. Elizabeth can always get a hold of me
And
also.
aren't you on Facebook too? Did my sister get a hold of you through Facebook?
Yes, I
Okay,
am on
so
Facebook.
why don't you go ahead and spell out because your name is not a conventional name because of your nationality, and I want to make sure if people want to reach out to you, they can really find you.
My name is Hannah, Hanne, and the last name is Hansen, Hansen.
And so, is that what your name is under in Facebook?
Yeah, yes. Email address is danishDove@hotmail.com.
Let's spell it.
DANISHDOVE@hotmail.com.
Perfect. Okay. Well, Hannah, I loved this conversation. I am so happy for what you shared, and I'm so thrilled with you that you could experience a loss this deep and still be able to turn it into something that makes your life joyful and that you have this amazing connection that has lived on with your son. So, the last thing I want to ask you is what do you think you know for sure?
I know nothing. I know nothing for sure, except for it's all about love.
All about love. Well, I think that that's a lot to know. So, Hannah, thank you again so much for being on the show. And I want to personally thank you for what you are doing to help wake up the collective. It is so needed right now.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for having me. That's been fun.
Great. I'm so glad you thought so. And of course, this show is absolutely nothing without all of you who tune in to watch, to listen, and to share these beautiful experiences with somebody who needs it. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Was this something that you found to be helpful? Do you get your own signs and synchronicities? And even if you just want to comment, waking up the collective or collective, it still helps the channel. And if you still have more questions, you can join me for Wake Up Wednesdays live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do you believe that love never dies and you want to hear stories that prove it? Well, hit the subscribe button. You belong here.